Hello. Today I'm interviewing Richard Frankland, established author of 2 books, hopefully many more. Hello, Richard.
Hello.
So, on your website you explain about seeing 2 nasty-looking people at Heathrow, and you got the idea for a cast of hawks by using those 2 people's image and imagination of them as main characters. But how do you research and build the other good and bad characters in your books?
The bad guys are a lot easier. You only have to read it, pick up a newspaper and read it, and there they are, fully fleshed out in front of you. The good guys, that's a lot more difficult, and one has to go around and look at friends, associates, and I find in those cases that it's a composite of characters. Maybe 2 or 3 people are brought together as one character in the book. But all have one thing in common. They've all got to be able to talk to me. In order to build the strength of the character, I've got to clearly picture them and imagine what they would say. That is essential.
Yes. Why did you move your characters in a cast of hawks onto a small yacht? Why not stick with the airport or perhaps an aircraft as the setting?
The problem I felt there was that there were too many people. There would be far too many characters in the book. Unless you wipe them out with a terrorist explosion very early on and few people survive, you would find that the authorities' figures would be coming in large numbers, military presence, police, whatever, were coming in, to say nothing of the people that were directly affected as hostages. Put them onto a small boat and you're reducing the number of people, and it allows your hostage, your hero in fact, to be a much more important player in the plot.
I see, yes. Now, you write some particularly strong secondary characters. I especially enjoyed Coast Guard Phil Saints.
He was lovely. He was one of these characters, as I said earlier, who spoke to me. I could picture the man. I could get his total personality, his professional attitude, his sense of humour, like his wife's sense of humour. You know, those 2 bonded very brilliantly in my mind. Other nice ones were Campbell's lady housekeeper, Mrs. Craven, and bless her, she comes across as larger than life, and they're great fun.
Yes, yes they were. I noticed that you use different methods of introducing your main characters. Some you explain how they came to be the way they are, and others you allow their dialogue to paint the picture for the reader. How do you choose which format to use?
It's really what is essential for the reader to understand the character's motivation. When you're describing a professional person, their dialogue and a brief description of their rank and duty is normally sufficient. But when you're dealing with some of the characters like Yamada, for example, in Cast of Hawks, it was necessary to give a background as to why an American would turn against his country. And though Yamada is obviously Japanese by ancestry, he was and had served with the American forces. You had to then explain what turned him.
Yes.
And that's where we are.
So, Now you link the Japanese Red Brigade with North Korean terrorists. Is there a link?
Yes, I believe that in the days of the original Japanese Red Brigade, there were links. There was assistance given, and now, even today, there is still a threat from North Korean terrorism within Japan. So to bring those two together does make sense. They have frequently, or areas of their ideology match exactly.
That's frightening. You are light on describing Ian Vaughan. For example, how old is he?
Yes, I suppose with the plot that I had in Cast of Hawks, it was difficult to actually sit back and do a back plot, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
The action was there right from the word go. So describing where he had come from had to be given in little snippets, and you will get an impression of how old he is. He's married, 2 young daughters. That probably puts him in normal people's imaginings of early to mid-30s. And he's got an engineering background, even though he'd been made redundant as an engineer. His wife described him as ruggedly handsome. And his persona, I think, during the book gives a picture of an ordinary guy. And this is really what I wanted to have him be. He is an ordinary man who finds himself in an extremely difficult and dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm. When are you hoping to finish the Funchal operation?
Ah, right. Funchal, yes. I'm at the moment writing chapter 10. It's scheduled for something like 15 chapters. Those will have various twists and turns in them. So there are 1 or 2 surprises that come in the back third of the book, as it were. And that should be out, I would think, May, June next year.
Wonderful. Do you see the series continuing?
Ah, well, that depends a lot on whether Vaughan survives Funchal.
Oh! Yeah. Tell us he does.
Well, we'll see. He's in a not a very pleasant place towards the end of this book, and whether he survives at the moment, I don't know.
On behalf of all your fans, Richard, can I plead for survival?
I'll do my best.
Thank you so much for this interview. I really hope some enterprising film director, you Mr. Mendez, is listening to this.
That
Thank
would be
you.
good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.